Okay, here's what I want from a wireless video transmission system.
A solid range which can easily go through walls, ideally HDMI and SDI, transmits to a separate receiver, but also mobile devices like iPads and iPhones, can be powered via a Sony L-series battery or externally. Oh, and I don't want it to cost an arm and a leg. Accsoon Cineview Master 4K ticks these boxes and many more. It's the best and most feature-rich wireless video transmission product that I've ever used, and there's nothing out there that can do as much as this. If that's all you wanted to know, then there you go.
I've used so many different wireless transmission systems over the years, going back to the very old days before a lot of you were born. And these days, we are really spoiled. There's so many out there, too many to keep track of, and most of them are very good. So what is it that you need to make something exceptional, like this?
Accsoon have been making my go-to wireless video system since 2019 when I bought their first Cineview. It was small, with a built-in battery, and transmitted to up to 4 iOS devices at the same time, with a range of up to 100 meters. Being able to transmit to my iPad or iPhone was a revelation. The Cineview 2 and then the SDI HDMI Cineview 2S were of course even better, with a stronger signal, a display, and the ability to change lots of parameters. Oh, and mount a Sony L-series battery on it, as well as take external power. 3 years ago I made a video about their fantastic Cineview 2 Pro system. It included a receiver for connecting to an external monitor, but could still transmit to mobile devices. It also had dual band, adding 2.4 GHz to the 5 GHz to increase stability and range and minimize interference in congested areas. It also reduced latency to less than 60 milliseconds. This system was a rock-solid beast. I couldn't keep up with the different models that came out after this. I do have the super neat $99 entry-level Cineview Nano and the lovely compact Cineview SE, which is in a very similar form factor to the old Cineview 2, but with the power of the Pro system. Whilst they were bringing out these, they also released CMO. That's not a wireless product, but a device to physically convert a camera's HDMI signal, and with the Pro version, SDI as well, to iOS devices, and be viewed using their brilliant C app, which is one of the most feature-rich monitors that I've used. I love the CMOs, and the 4K version especially is terrific. It's just a shame that if you want to send wirelessly, you still need one of their wireless systems.
If only they had a product that did it all.
Well, hello Cineview Master 4K. This really does seem to have everything I could possibly want. It's the first wireless system I've used that can transmit not just 4K, but up to 4K 60p, using HDMI, and there's a loop out. It also has a 1080p SDI input and very low latency, which it claims can be as little as 25 milliseconds in certain modes. There's tri-band, adding 6 GHz for an even stronger and stable connection in congested areas. It can send to 4 destinations, which can be any combination of receivers or mobile devices. You can also use the transmitter as an access point to boost your camera's Wi-Fi signal, which is really needed as the vast majority of cameras have a very poor Wi-Fi range. You get all the benefits of having CMO built in, like recording in up to 4K on your mobile device, going live, and uploading to Frame.io while shooting. And thanks to the much improved C app, you can now have a log signal coming from your camera, but use a LUT for the lives, Frame.io, and recording. Build quality is superb as expected. It has an all aluminium housing. No, not aluminum, it's aluminium. So it's very robust. There's also a very nice color display for all your settings. Power is using good old Sony L-series batteries or via power inputs. By far my favorite way of using the transmitter with my FX6 is with their upcoming V-mount adapter. It just keeps things really nice and neat.
Because of the USB-C out on the transmitter and the CMO port, I can have an iOS device as a monitor on the camera. We're setting to 4 additional devices, combination of mobile devices or receivers. And I can also plug a monitor through the HDMI out and have that on the camera. It's a lot of different screens. I won't be doing that, but I could.
A very useful feature is if you transmit 4K, you can set your receivers to be 4K or 1080p. This can be very useful if you're using a monitor with a receiver that can't take a 4K signal.
At the time of making this video, a transmitter and receiver is $849. There's nothing else out there that comes close to this for features and price. I'm a skeptic by nature, so I rarely trust figures that a manufacturer will state. I will need to check them myself. And the ones I need to check: latency and signal strength. Oh, it's like one of those films they show around this time of year.
It's seeing you there.
Yeah, what are the odds of that?
Yep.
Do you remember we did a thing a few years ago with Accsoon where we did something at your house? Not yet. I know, your work, your old office, and then we went into the park. It's like that.
With the one wheel.
Yes, but you don't have that now. You have to
I
walk. Are you
Put it
going
on to charge.
It's got headlights. Does the headlights mean it's street legal?
Yes.
You're like one of those
Legally.
Canadian YouTubers.
Canadian.
Well, most of them are Canadian, aren't
It's
they?
about time. I'm gonna try.
No, because I will fall off and kill myself. So I'll do the bit with the camera instead. That's the bit I'm sort of okay at. Now, we're in London. We've got a built-up area. What you want it to do is to work just in the next room. Really, not just down the road. That's the key thing.
It's, yeah, that's just this is a very simple one. It's really just go down to the end and back again.
Off you go. Good luck.
You can get up to around 2 kilometers of range with direct line of sight and with nothing blocking or interfering with the signal, but that's not real world. What's important to me is how well it works with obstacles, interference and losing line of sight, as that's the real challenge. This is a very narrow London street with a lot of Wi-Fi signals and obstacles, and it maintained the connection further than I expected.
Just get into the front door and we'll have a couple of walls in the way. So it's a real world test really. So we're filming outside and you want to be the director or whatever it is, sitting in the comfort of your warm home. Because it's like minus 20 degrees right now out here. Bye.
And then he's gone. I may not see him again.
In my old Cineview 2S Pro video, I had the most ridiculous setup, showing the different amounts of latencies you can get depending on the device you are sending to. The more devices you connect to will increase the latency slightly, but the biggest factors are the camera you're using, your cables, and the monitor or device. There's no such thing as zero latency from what you're filming to your monitor. The FX6 built-in LCD screen has a 60 millisecond latency, and this is one of the fastest cameras. The 25 millisecond figure that Accsoon states is the time between the transmitter and the receiver, not from what you're filming to your receiving monitor. As always, I did my latency tests far too many times, trying all sorts of different variables like different monitors, frame rates, resolutions, cables, bit rates. Yes, you can set the transmission and USB bit rate to different levels, but I didn't find they made much difference.
Oh, not there. Come out of the way. No.
The different results I was getting with the variables was interesting, and as expected, the least latency was when sending out 50p or 60p, both in 1080 and 4K. 4K was a little bit slower compared to 1080, but not by much. My iPad Pro through the C app got some really impressive latency results. But the only way I could get close to seeing the true latency of the Cineview Master 4K itself is without the cables, cameras and monitors confusing things. And that's by comparing the delay with a camera hardwired monitor and the same monitor wirelessly connected. I tested HDMI and SDI, and the difference between wireless and wired was so minimal that the margin of error due to the refresh rates of the screens made it hard to tell which was which without looking at my notes. And this was both for HDMI and SDI. This is really impressive.
So if you're worried about the focus pulling latency on the system, don't be. if I had a focus puller on the operator side of the camera with a monitor plugged in, or if I had a focus puller wirelessly receiving the signal from the camera, I don't think there'd be a ton of difference. It's that good. In fact, the whole system is that good.